All right. We're analyzing a Subto deal for day 153 of our lives for streaming. So today we got a deal. It is 2714 Dowling Street, West Orange, Texas. It is listed as cash flowing as a long-term rental. So let's see. The mortgage balance on a deal is 62,000. The ARV is 120. Long-term rental is 1353. Entry fee is 9,200 plus closing costs plus TC. No cash to seller, 1,700 bucks in arrears and 7,500 bucks for the assignment. All right. Now, when we looked at this property, 2714, I'm assuming that's the property. Still quick street drive-by. It's mobile homes over there. I don't love that this garage is like boarded up. That doesn't make me feel really good about it. Let's see. Let's go the other way. That home is not bad. Huh. What's going on here? A lot of these homes have boarded up. I don't love that. Let's see. Let's go check Top Hat really quick to see the crime score in the area. Hmm. Check the neighborhood. Crime score is not bad. It's 113. Let's see if I can look this up property up on Redfin. West Orange. Let's look at sold properties. There we go. I want to check if it's in a floodplain. 1 second, because it's pretty flat. It's right next to, close to Houston, right? A little bit west, close to the water. Let's check the flood map. Oh yeah, I do not like that. I do not like that. It's on the 7 on the crime score. So the flood insurance. Oh yeah, maybe that's why things were blowing up. Maybe there was a flood before and people never repaired their homes. So 7 on a flood factor, that's pretty high. So that means that you will have to get flood insurance for your home, and if you, and that could be really, really pricey. So let's do some underwriting. All right. So next thing we want to do is we're gonna go hot FMR and we want to look up the small area FMR for the zip code. So look up the FY 2024 FMR again, and we're analyzing this Subto deal specifically using the rents for Section 8 or the Housing Choice Voucher program for it. So this is 2714 Dowling Street, 77630. A 3 bedroom max rent ceiling is 1440. So let's write that one down. 77630. 77630. That's a 3 bed. Look at the rents for a 4 bed too, just in case. 4 beds 1540, so only an extra $100. So clearly there is not any logical reason that you need to go increasing the rents or adding a bedroom for extra $100 in rent. That doesn't make sense to me. All right. Next, I want to do is I want to get the market rent. So when you go to affordablehousing.com, you go to the market rent estimator, plug in the address, plug in a bedroom count. You're going to see this number on the far right. It says that the average rent here for 3 bedroom properties for 25 units within a 1.57 mile radius. Let me write this down. I'm writing this down so that my partners already understand exactly how I analyze deals. So I'm going to write down all my research items right here: 1217, 1235, 1263. All right. Now, using this assumption, if it's 1263, I'm going to assume that's my rent for this property because you have to use the rent reasonableness test, right? The rent reasonableness test states that you cannot charge more rent than what the market deems to be fair simply because they're a voucher holder, right? So even though the rent ceiling is 1440, you cannot charge that. You can only charge 1263. All right. So when we put that part number in at 1263, that's the rent that we're going to use to underwrite. All right. So now I'm going to put in this property. And for those of you that want to see full screen, just go to youtube.com/@Kent_HE. Let's see. This property is 62,000. So I'm gonna plug in $62,000 on my mortgage over here. This over here. 62,000. We have a PITI of 850. Rate is 5.5% for the interest rate. ARV is 120. Entry fee is 9,200. And 7,500 that is assignment fee. So 7,500. Arrears is 1,700. And that's how you get the 9,200, which is the arrears plus the assignment. Closing costs, I'm going to put that at 2.5%. And I'm going to assume that this purchase price is going to be equals to $62,000 plus the arrears as my purchase price. 2.5% closing costs. I think it should be higher. I'm going to put 3% right here. But usually I expect to spend about 3 grand, especially when you have like inspections and stuff like that. I'll make this 3% just because that's the easier amount. I would expect at least 2 grand of closing costs, no matter how cheap the home is. All right. So now I got my PITI of 850. So I'm going to do equals 850 minus substitute principal minus the interest. That's 497.97. And that includes my tax and insurance. I'm assuming this number is really high because of insurance, because you're in a flood zone. Now, that's not even guaranteed yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume I need to pay at least another $200 a month for insurance. Actually, let me do 100 because it's going to be in an investment property, not someone's living in it, and we have to buy flood insurance. So I have to go get a flood insurance quote just to see if this is going to even pencil out. All right. So using 10% as a maintenance for my property management, I mean, CapEx, I got no HOA. I got 10% for property management and I got 5% for vacancy. This will result in a break even cash flow. So that's negative $3 a month. And that's 0%, well, 0 point, negative 0.1, I guess, technically, after everything. And this was assuming a rent of 1263. Now, let's say you got the full max rent, 1440. That will yield you a $130 cash flow. So for me, that's probably not worth the headache. Even if I got my best case scenario at 1440, because that would be cash flowing 130. And it's unlikely you will get that because they usually have the rent reasonable test, which we've covered in the past on many other underwriting deals. So 4% cash on cash return if you get the maximum rent, assuming your purchase price 63,700. Well, actually, hold on. I apologize. I didn't even put in the rehab in there yet. So the let's see what's the rent. 1,344 square feet. So when I looked at the photos for this property, let's look at Trulia. This property looks pretty old. I don't even know how old these photos are. I don't think these are the active listings. I'm gonna assume they get replaced all the flooring and paint. Even if you just keep the bathrooms as is, I would probably replace at least the toilets because I have no idea how old these things are. So let's go ahead and plug in some numbers. If I did it, 1,344. So 1,344 square feet to paint and 1,344 to do the flooring. $500 for landscaping, another $1,500 for the roof to take care of any issues. 2 toilets, I'm gonna replace them, and that results in I'm gonna replace water heater in case there's any issues. I'm gonna do some termite issues. That's 25 grand in rehab, so that's gonna be a 3% cash and cash return, assuming $130 of cash flow. To me, that's just not a deal, and here's why. I personally am afraid of buying properties in flood zones. You buy properties in flood zones and you assume that those costs are going to continue to get a little bit out of hand. Well, that's going to be out of your control. Your insurance costs might be eroding your potential cash flow now and into the future. That's a tough thing to swallow because it's completely out of your control, right? Even if you execute on this deal flawlessly and you get the rehab done really quick, really fast, and you do a great job, then all of a sudden what if another hurricane hits like it did in Houston a while ago and it floods? And now insurance premiums go up. You might have incurred any damage. To me, that's just too much risk. So personally, that's not a deal for me. But if you're looking at this area and you have a great team in place and you just want a positive cash flow deal, might a cash flow? Yeah, it might cash flow. And that's assuming you put aside 10% for your maintenance every single month. Now, if you ever have any bigger issues, that might be a tough call. So just be aware. Again, all I'm doing is just analyzing deals. And today, what did we do, right? Let's do a quick recap. We got the property, we got the terms, and then we went about and we did this quick street drive-by. I personally did not like all the boarded up homes. Maybe it was water damage at some point, but I don't love the vibe of the neighborhood. And then we got these small area FMRs for Orange County in Texas. And for 77630, we saw that the rent ceiling is 1440. However, we saw on affordablehousing.com, we saw that the market rent for 25 units was 1263. And because this is lower when you compare it to the fair market rents on HUD's website, because that's the rent ceiling, you have to use the lower of the two because that is complying with the rent reasonableness test, which means that you can't charge more rent than what HUD determines to be fair, which means that you can't charge more than market simply because you're a voucher holder. Now, with that all said, we plugged in all the numbers, plugged in the rehab, and we backed into we plugged in the numbers for the loan, and then we backed into what the remaining property tax and insurance number is. We added an extra $100 in here. Now, might this be a deal if your flood insurance is lower? Sure, it could be, but you are right on the line for $130. If your insurance policy goes up by even just $30 a month or $50 a month, that could be the end of your cash flow. So just get some really, really good, accurate quotes and just be careful about that. So that's it. All right. That's our underwriting for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And just remember, just stay consistent with me. All it takes is just 18 minutes a day for a year. And you will be better at analyzing deals than 95% of the country. Stay consistent with me, analyze the deals every single day because this is part of the work of investing in real estate. This is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments. I'm simply showing the work that I do every single day. For you to buy 100 deals, chances are you're going to analyze 10 times that amount. And the more and more practice you get to analyze all these deals, the quicker and faster you will, one, recognize the deal, but then more importantly, rule out deals that are not even close to being deals. Because that's how you're going to avoid burnout. If you do that correctly, you will save yourself a lot of time. You will only focus your time on deals that matter, and you will avoid burnout. That is my hope. And all you have to do is copy what I'm doing today, look at the same property using the same spreadsheet. Just DM me your email on Instagram at @InvestWithKenny, and my team will send a spreadsheet to you. I've been very fortunate to have been given these spreadsheets by a few folks. I just combine them from multiple spreadsheets, tweaked it to meet my own underwriting standards, and that's how I analyze deals every single day. Simple enough, right? So my hope is that you take the same deal, analyze it the same way, but do at least one part of it better. Take one part where I explain something where it did not make sense or rearrange the order of how I went about it. Because the whole point is for me to lift everybody up in the community so that we all can get better together. When you do this, I get to learn from you. And then when you look back, when you're about to pull your trigger on the first deal and you're feeling a little nervous, you can look back at your own YouTube channel and say, hey, I probably know what I'm doing. Because I've been spending the last 100 days, 365 days, analyzing deals every single day. And with that, you're going to have a little bit more confidence in what you're doing. And if a partner ever asks you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? Well, point them to your own YouTube channel. And at that point in time, you might have 100 videos. You might have 365 videos. Well, heck, you can even keep it as unlisted if you're really shy about putting yourself out there so that only they have the link to the videos and not the public. But at the end of the day, might they feel a little bit more confident in your abilities to analyze a deal and spot a deal if you have a whole YouTube channel full of it? Think of it as almost your resume, right? Would you ever apply to a job without a resume? Rarely, right? So do this with me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back here again tomorrow for day 154. And we're just going to keep this thing going. All right. Have an amazing day. Spend some quality time with your friends and family on Friday. This is what life is about. Have an amazing day. Talk to you soon.